right. Hello, everyone. Mando. That's right. Believe it or not, Mandalorian's coming back, everybody, on Wednesday. Oh, my God. Tonight, we are going to deal with that news and also talk a little bit about Season 2. Talk about what we're excited for the next season. We have an event to announce, Utini-wide. Lots of cool, fun stuff tonight. But most of all, we're just excited to get back together and chat with our friends about some freaking Star Wars. So go ahead, sit back, relax, unless you're Wes. And in that case, punch it. To the Living Force, a UTD Network podcast all about the multiple Star Wars shows that are running at the same time. Welcome to 2023, everybody. I am one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me tonight to talk all about The Mandalorian Season 3. Are two of the loveliest gents this side of the Star Wars universe, starting off with the man, the myth, the Mando, Dr. Charles Henkel. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm still first in the lineup since Corey's not here tonight. I'll take it. I'm a little bit stressed, though, about all these TV shows. Man, I'm still actually not caught up on the Bad Batch, and now we're throwing Mando in the mix. Something's got to go, you know? Sorry, Cody, you're not going to get any dog walks this week.
Yeah, exactly. I've had the realization that I really do need to start waking up before work because I can only fit in one show on my lunch break, so... God, the things we do for love, you know. But you know what? I won't do that. But I know someone that will. What's Jenkins? Hey, man.
Wow, do I appreciate the meatloaf reference, if anybody caught that. What's going on, everybody? Have you done your Mando rewatch yet? I've seen a couple of our Utini mates that are gonna try to run through that in the next couple days. So good luck. Good luck with that.
Just
right?
Like casually doing that.
It's funny because Bethany, girlfriend, is turned into a Star Wars nerd. What a nerd,
yes!
right?
We did it. We did it.
I mean, binged Mando Season 1, Season 2, Book of Boba Fett, and as she was doing it, I was just like, oh, this is actually good study material for me, so I can kind of catch up on some stuff. And then I got her doing like a custom watch of all the Star Wars shows and movies. So
you got her a custom watch?
I got him. No. Jeez,
well,
Eric, thanks a lot, man. Now, hope that expectation's not coming down the line. But yeah, it's been fun, man. And it's been really cool to see her react to them stuff. I just want to be like, oh my God, and by the way, everybody dies in Rogue One. But I keep it myself.
Secrets. Oh, that's there is no. Okay, no, I'll say it, this is hyperbolic. There's no better feeling in the world, everyone, than watching someone you care about go through Star Wars for the first time and actually really dig it individually. Because we all do things for people that we care about, right? Like, you'll watch things, you'll do some things, you're like, okay, this is good, but maybe I wouldn't do it individually. But to watch them sink in, it's like, yes, I was right. It feels really nice. So that's awesome.
I would like you to apologize to everybody you ever made fun of for watching Star Wars your entire life, and you start with people in junior high. Go. She's like, that's oh my exactly God, there's so many people. I was kidding.
You got some emails to send, basically, is what we're saying. I have not done a rewatch. The last episode of The Mandalorian that I watched was when the last episode aired. I am not a rewatcher straight up. There's too much stuff.
Same.
So tonight, as I was doing research for tonight's show, I was like, oh yeah, that was pretty good.
Can I plug that video that they put out? Because we were talking about this before the show, and I was like, man, I don't remember what happened in Season 2. How am I going to do the podcast tonight? And so I hopped on Disney Plus. I said they must have a Season 2 recap like they did with Season 1, but no, they don't. But if you Google it on Star Wars YouTube channel, there is actually a season 2 sizzle recap. It's about 3 minutes long, and it was very well done.
It's awesome. May I also, Wes, I'm going to put you on the spot here. In our screen share window, would you be so kind as just to navigate to utini.com? Because as I'm vamping here,
I don't have that hyperlinked.
It's all right. I'm gonna give you a second while I vamp here. So
Can you spell
if you see
Utini?
our homepage, you will notice there is also the Mandalorian Season 1 recap and the Mandalorian 2 Season 2 recap. Our very own Emma Park put those up today, everyone.
Oh, perfect
so,
timing.
Forget about that sizzle reel I mentioned.
Forget about it.
Just go read this.
If you want to check it out, Emma put a ton of work into these. They're freaking awesome. We got pictures, we got descriptions. And if you're not a huge video watcher, honestly, I'm kind of a phone scroll reader more than a YouTube watcher sometimes. Go to utini.com, check out those recaps. Emma, you did amazing on them. But yeah, Season 1, Season 2. Go ahead, scroll through those before you go to bed, because we know you're scrolling before sleep. You shouldn't, right, Charles? Isn't that a medical thing?
Yeah,
you shouldn't do that.
Don't do that.
But if you're gonna, you might as well go and check it out. So, I'm gonna use these obviously tonight, and I'm gonna check them out more. But I'm excited to remember everything. Before we get into Mando, though, more intensely, a quick reminder to everybody: make sure as you're watching the show tonight, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of great stuff coming your way all the time. And if you're listening to us on your podcatcher, hi! I hope you're having a great dog walk. I hope you're washing dishes. We got dishes crew. I know. I haven't talked to y'all in a while, but I know you're doing dishes, and I'm proud of you for it. I'm proud of you because you're putting in the work. I hope you're liking the show. Go ahead and give us a review. We got a lovely review recently over on Apple Podcasts, a nice little 5-star review. If you got a 1-star review for the show, just keep that to yourself. All right? No one cares. No one cares about that. But 5 stars, shout them to the world. Make sure everyone knows. And now, as we always like to do, I'm going to check in with my buds and see how your week was. Charles, I want to start with you because I got to tell you, buddy, we're doing really good. I saw you this week, briefly, but there was physical touch, which I think counts for something. It was a good day.
Yeah, so Eric and I both attended the same sporting event, and Eric was part of like this big march of fans headed towards the stadium, and he happened to be going by the bar that I was at with some friends pre-gaming, and I called him, and he was walking by outside, and there was just tons of people everywhere. And then we made eye contact, and I assume that anyone watching saw us kind of jog slow motion toward each other.
Absolutely.
There may or may not have been a warm embrace. And then we both went in and watched our team lose. But but it was still fun. And that was really, honestly, probably the highlight of my whole week was going to that game.
Yeah, it was a great time. Good old Charlotte FC, our MLS team here in North Carolina. We lost because of a goal in the 88th minute. And if you watch any kind of football or soccer, you know that really sucks because the game's almost over. But had a great time, my first match ever. And yeah, Charles, I feel like we were like Rey and then Finn and Poe at the end of Rise of Skywalker, where it's just like, but we were much less stressed because anything was possible at that point. But had a great time. If you are a fellow MLS fan, root for Charlotte, because if you don't, I don't know, you kind of hate the pod, I guess. But similarly to Charles, that was a highlight of my week. I had a very stressful week, fellas. I'm just going to be honest. There's just a lot of work. I was very tired, and it got to the point where a buddy of mine that I brought to the game, I went with Charlie and my buddy and his wife, to pay for the tickets. I got them a month ago. And you know when you buy tickets a month ahead of time, you totally forget you bought them. So, like, you just, that money you kind of don't think about because you're like, oh, it's gone. My buddy was like, oh, by the way, for the tickets, he gave me $100 bill in cash, like a psycho. And I was like, what?
I didn't know they still made those.
I didn't know what to do with it. So I was like, you know what? I've had a bad week. I've already forgotten about this money. You can hear where I'm going with this. You know how you try to convince yourself things are a good idea.
How many Funkos did you buy?
I did not buy a Funko, Charles, but I did buy myself a Shamrock Shake because I was very sad. And then I went to Target, and I got this bad boy. I got the ATTE Lego set because I'm like, I gotta spend this cash on something. And it's 1,082 pieces. So there's a glorious weekend day in my future where I'm just gonna sit and probably just have some beers by myself, put on an audiobook, and build a Lego. And
that would take me 11 years.
One sitting for all mine, mostly because of the cats. I don't trust them not to hit my shit in the middle of the night. But yeah, that was my week. Was buying a Lego and going to a soccer game. Am I 31? Am I 13? No one really knows. But Wes, you had some. Oh wait, sorry. One more thing I want to plug. I was also on a podcast this past week. With our buddy Matt Hudson over at Star Wars Sessions. He has a movie podcast. What I watched last night and stuff. He's a lovely man. If you follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. I tweeted it out. Oh my gosh, I just checked our Utini account, tweeted it out as well. I did a podcast called The Back Row where we talked about the Oscars. So if you like my voice for whatever reason and you like movies a lot, go check out Matt's show. Go check out what I watched tonight. He's a lovely man. And if you don't know Star Wars Sessions, listen to them as well. They're going to have a lot of stuff at Celebration London. But yeah, I got to have a, not bi-coastal, what is that? Bi-continental podcast on Sunday and just chat about who we think is going to win the Oscars. So that was a total blast. Wes, I had a great segue and I ruined it, so I'll pretend that I'm saying it again. You also had some athletic feats this past week. I see
did.
You are back doing one of our favorite things on this show.
Yes, it's the wonderful world of competitive softball, right? So season started up again, so I'm playing on Sunday and Wednesdays, and it was hot. Well, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't August hot like it is in Texas when it's like 110 with like no wind. But I got burnt on my face, and you can see it. But season's back. It's fun hanging out with my friends that who will, I guess, encourage you in case you are doing poorly, which is completely a lie. They give me shit all day long.
I was gonna say encourage you healthily.
First game back. First game back was last week, and I was too ashamed to talk about it last week on the show. So I struck out looking. And if you play slow pitch softball, they just underhand you the ball, man. So I mean, it's not like it's not like it's hard to hit it. And so I was just like, oh, that doesn't look good. And it was probably the most perfect pitch you've ever seen. I mean, it's just a lob throw across the plate, and I watched it go by. And because of that, I had to spend some money, but I didn't give Bethany enough money to go get beer. I had to buy 24 beers for the team. Because if you strike out, that is the punishment. You have to purchase alcohol for your friends to drink, and you watch them do it while you just sit there.
Which I assume leads to more strikeouts.
You'd be surprised. I think a lot of these guys hit a way better when they have like 3 or 4 inside of them. So,
Wes, here's what I want. I want you to remember these words next time a ball goes over the plate. Just imagine me looking at you, being like, "Good eye." Good eye, Wes.
The catcher will do that to you behind the plate. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is a good one." Like right before you hit, and you're like, "Oh!" Like gets you completely out of sync, and you just like ground out to the pitcher or something. You look ridiculous.
God.
Anyways,
also, Cole just roasted you in the chat. Getting to the 3rd strike is impressive.
Dang.
I'm telling you.
Well, hey, can't wait to hear about all your dingers. You're gonna slam out of the Texas heat in the next couple months. Hopefully it won't snow again and take down your power grid, but if it will, then at least you're outside. So, very happy to hear about that. And as you guys may notice, Corey's not at the show tonight because he was called away to a remote mountain colony where he had to do open heart surgery on a baby bear. So we'll see how that goes, and I'm excited for him to not have any idea of what we're all talking about next week when I mention that. So everyone keep it a secret because I'm going to ask Corey about his bear surgery. There's no good segue to this. Patreon, you pay for this crap, don't you? You like this? You like what I just did? Do you feel good about that? No, but for real, I want to do a quick thank you to our friends over at patreon.com/Utini who support far more than my crazy improvisational antics. You are the reason we're able to do everything we do for the site. All these new articles we have going, all these new pods we got going. We got a lot of exclusives coming in. We're still cooking behind the scenes, testing some shows actively this week. So very excited for stuff coming your way. I was talking about some exclusive interviews coming along the way, all kinds of fun stuff. So go over to patreon.com/Utini, join the crew, join the family as we kind of plan for the rest of 2023. And speaking of Patreon, you could do something very fun tonight if you're on Patreon. But before I tell you about that, we got to do the drop. It's time for the Star Wars Weekly Roundup.
It's the Star Wars Weekly Roundup.
Anybody? Do you know what month it is? Do you know what month it's gonna be? Wes, Charles, what comes after February? What month is coming up? What's the next one?
After February?
After February,
there's
yeah.
like 8 of them, right? April?
You know what? You're right. I wasn't specific. That's like a genie wish where you're like, I wish it was, oh, well, it could be anything. Dang it. Well, everyone, it's March. It's March. And if you like sports at all, you probably get a little mad in March. March Madness is upon us. One of the greatest communal events of the year where a bunch of college basketball teams will play each other for supremacy, and there will be upsets, and there will be all kinds of brackets busted, and nobody's going to win Warren Buffett's $1 million because no one can do a perfect bracket. But in honor of March Madness being right around the corner, we are thrilled to announce the Utini Book Madness bracket event. This is going to be the biggest bracket event, and maybe even the biggest community event we have ever done in many ways. So, everyone, here's what's coming your way. We're going to have 64 books, 63 matches. We're talking 2 matches a day, and it will all take place not only on Discord, but on Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube social channels. We've known throughout the years that a lot of you come to us from a bunch of different places, so wherever you consume your Utini content, whatever social platform you like, you're going to be able to participate in figuring out which book is going to rise to the top of the bracket. Tonight, over on Patreon, we're hosting a play-in match, which is awesome. I think that's so fun. Later tonight, so we'll find out the final person that's going to be in the bracket. And then tomorrow, that will end, which will determine which book fills the final slot. Just so you know, it's going to be Inferno Squad or X-Wing Starfighters of Ajumar. 2 very different books, but we'll see who gets the last slot. And the official festivities for this bracket, folks, kick off this Friday, March 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're listening to this podcast on your regular podcatcher, today is the day, March 3rd, 1 p.m. Now, what is this bracket challenge? It is the following things. Daily, you can come vote on your favorite Star Wars book. So every day you get 2 books or a series, you'll see, depending on the seating. They're going to go head-to-head to see which book can get the most fan votes. This has 64 of our most recognized and fan favorite reads. The bracket will consist of 63 matches until there is 1 book standing. Now, where do you vote? Specifically, what do you do? Each day, there's going to be a new post on Discord in the Book Madness channel. So make sure you got that on alerts. Book Madness over on Discord. There'll be pictures of that day's matchup will be posted around 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the votes for each match will last about 24 hours. The book with the most votes moves forward. Nice and easy. Then the next matchup starts immediately after that. So each day, you'll see Twitter posts. You will see Instagram stories. You will see YouTube community posts all at the same time. Now, on all of those, there'll be polls and things like that on Twitter, things like that. On Discord, each book will have its own emoji, a blue saber, a red saber. If you've been in our bracket before, you kind of know how that works. You click the saber you want, you go to the tab and Twitter, YouTube community that you want, all simultaneously, and you just vote for the book that you like. Now, you can just vote for whatever book you like more. You can vote for whichever one you think is the best, and it's all basically up to you. Now, the bracket is seeded. If you know March Madness, it's all about seeding, right? A lot of this is seeded by the Utini recommended reading order, but that doesn't mean you have to vote for number 1 over number 9 or whatever have you. Vote for your favorites. We want some upsets. We want some fun here. And discuss and kindly debate your favorites across all the social channels. I want you guys telling us why you think things should win. I want to see campaigns. I want to see people really pushing for their favorite votes. And one can vote across all 4 different channels. So do you have a book that you really want to win? Did you vote on Discord? Did you vote on YouTube? Did you vote on Twitter? Did you vote on Instagram? You can quadruple the size of your vote, and that's not voter fraud. That's just strategy. So, overall, Wes, if you'd be so kind, you put the link in the chat. This is a look at what the bracket page is going to look like. We're using challenge.com, and we have 64 different books here. Before we talk about some of the books, I want to give major kudos to a bunch of folks on the team. Our buddy Amir came up with the idea, Jordan giving a ton of feedback, and Jose gave us a fire graphic that you're going to see pasted everywhere. And of course, our buddy Moonflyer, Dave, who believes in the chat tonight, for starting these brackets in the first place way back when. Our team has been all over it. And of course, Timothy, our Patreon manager and Discord manager, has been overseeing the whole thing. So, fellas, This is huge. It's a massive event.
It's massive. There's
I'm
so
excited.
many
This is
matchups.
so fun.
Like I just looked at it, and then there's more. I scroll down. There's so many more. Like at the very bottom.
Yeah.
So we have
There's a
32
lot of good
matchups.
ones.
Yeah, 64 books. That's crazy.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I think
and
we're going to see some surprises.
Oh, I think we will too, because it's kind of grown every year, been a little bit more legitimate since it got started. But there are those favorites out there that sneak in there, just like in real March Madness. There's Cinderella teams. There's an 8 seed, and you're like, but I really, really enjoyed that book, and I don't know. It's fun to see people campaigning in all the different socials.
Yeah. Who's going to be who was that team? Who was last year? St. Peter's? What was that team? Remember that team last year that like it was a nothing seed and made it to like the Elite Eight or something?
I don't remember.
It
all
Saint
runs together.
Something? Yeah, someone in the chat, remind us who that was. That was great. But yeah, I think we have tons of great matchups. My favorite matchup in the first round, I'll just say this. We got the Alphabet Squadron Trilogy going up against X-Wing Rogue Squadron. And I'm like, I think that is a very similar bracket. And round one of those is gone. And I think that's going to be a huge point of contention with the community. So get ready, everybody.
That's interesting. So you could have one book go against a trilogy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, that one book better be a banger. Look at this Kenobi versus the Truce at Bakura, Freddie. Which one are you gonna choose,
Sorry,
Fred?
Freddie.
I think Freddie already actually bought a billboard for Truce at Bakura and put it in the middle of Colorado. So I think maybe if we're driving by, you can find that. But yeah, I'm excited to see kind of what St. Peter's. Thank you, Jared. St. Peter's. I was so close. Wait, I said St. Peter's.
You did
I was
say
on
St.
it.
Peter's.
Never mind. I nailed it.
Yeah, I
Good
think
for
that
me.
was it.
Go me. Yeah, very excited for this. So stay tuned, everybody. All the socials every day. Set your alerts on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Go on Discord. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Not that we think that books need to be compared, but there's got to be a winner and a bunch of losers, right? So, of course they do. So thank you, everybody, for that. Excited. We'll keep you guys posted weekly on how that's going. And if you want to buy the new books, of course, those are still coming out next week, everybody. Next Tuesday, Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars is finally coming out. See, I got little mini Cal and Marin here all ready for their book to come out on March 7th. But most importantly, the event of the spring is happening next Tuesday. We get to find out if Hunter's Battle for the Arena is a real book. It is still supposed to come out March 7th. And for all transparency, we do not have a review copy. Nothing like this. I'm just going to go to the store and see if it exists.
Like a plebeian.
Like a plebeian.
When's the last time you had to just go to a box store to get your book, Eric?
No, it's not great. I asked Daddy Jeff to send me all my books nowadays. I'm going to be honest. I do have a Barnes & Noble by me, though. So I feel like I should go more. Obviously, independent booksellers are bookstellers? Stellar booksellers. There it is. Are ideal, but you get what you get. So I'm excited. Guys, the week before, let's do one final little vote here. Is Battle for the Arena coming out next week?
Man. Like I just looked it up. There's 3 different websites that say coming soon, available for pre-order now.
Marcus Shiro, the author, has nothing about it on Twitter. It is not even in the Twitter bio, but it's on their website. I looked at his website. I'm like, okay, you can find it. I don't know.
I think it's happening. I think it's happening.
They just decided not to give it press, like Fireball.
At this point, I mean, not that it's abnormal for a book to get delayed by any means, but like I feel like we would have heard by now, right?
I think so.
We're so close to that date. I feel like
so. That's where I'm going. I don't know. We'll find out. But also Battlestar.
Nah, Charles.
Dead or no?
Well, we'll find out. I'm excited about it. We will not have an official review going up for Battle for the Arena necessarily, but we will have, of course, our usual video coverage. We'll have the video review and the written review for Battle Scars. I will also say, I usually don't say this as much ahead of time, I am interviewing author Sam Maggs tomorrow night. So that interview will be going up during a release day as well. So stay tuned for all your Battle Scars needs, as of course you're reading Hunter's Battle for the Arena. All right, let's go into the main part of the show. As always, we're going to start with our little bit of check-in on how one of the Star Wars shows is going, and then we're going to go into Mando Season 3. But before that, there is a show already out every Wednesday. That's The Bad Batch Season 2. This week brought us Episode 10, Retrieval. Charles, you said you're still a little bit behind.
Yeah,
Did you watch this one?
I haven't seen it. I am
That's
halfway
okay.
through last week's, but it sounds like they go and retrieve something, which sounds like a lot of the other episodes.
Charles, you've done this show long enough. You're so good at it now. You just understand it.
There's a formula to this, you know.
Wes, how spot on is he about that?
Yeah, he is fairly 90% correct on his. Well, no, he's 100% correct on it. So I'm sorry, I don't want to spoil it for you, Charles, but I think he figured it out without even watching.
Yeah, Wes. Yeah, let's say very, very briefly. Last episode, they lost their ship. This episode, they went to get the ship. Wes, how'd you like this episode?
I didn't like it. I mean, just straight up, it is.
Yep.
It seems like
same.
it just seems like
I don't know, man.
The last two episodes, like now they're back to square one. So it was at least last week. It was something they left us with. They don't have a ship now. What are they gonna do? And then they immediately fill that solution or fill that void with like that doubt that we were thinking about was like, oh, we can track it by just tracking the gonk droid. No big deal. Of course we're going to find it. Yeah. Gonky. And then I only enjoyed one part. That's not true, but I really enjoyed one part of this episode. It was when the big bad or the evil villain that was in this, I forgot what his name was. Like, it's over the M. Mako. When he was just eating all this food and everybody else was starving. He was just like slurping up soup and taking bites of like beef or something and then just taking some more soup. And it's, I was just like, man, that guy's gorging. Yeah. And I've done that before. I've had all kinds of different foods in front of me. I was like, I know I'm taking a nap right after this, but this is what I want to do.
You did that in front of starving children too. You're like, you'll get your turn.
No, absolutely not.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road with Immortan Joe and the crazy guys that did like the chrome faces. I love that movie. I gotta say, I was watching this episode and I'm like, I wish I was watching Mad Max right now. I think that'd be a great time. I don't know. It's tough because I don't like to not be stoked about Bad Batch, and I know that some people are really loving it, and I don't want to take that away from y'all. But I will do the broken record thing. If they hadn't had episodes that are among the best Star Wars we've ever seen, then I wouldn't be wanting that as well. I think, again, just the tone continues to be whiplash, and I don't know. What is Crosshair doing? Like,
what is he doing? Like, where? Like,
is he good? Like, I don't know. There's some folks that were like, you know, am I gonna watch Bad Batch or Mando first this week?
It's
and I'm like,
dark, but...
really? I don't know. Anyway, that being said, Charles, you should catch up. It's not hard.
Yeah, in this picture that I threw up, this oddly looks like my desk sometimes at work, and I will just put food everywhere, and I'll just eat the entire throughout the day.
I feel it. Hey, I got my Trader Joe's cinnamon drizzled granola next to me right now, so I completely understand that. But anyway,
if you missed the episode, they lost their ship last week after mining Ipsium. This week they got it back, and now we are back to square one for next episode. Hopefully not.
Next week is called Metamorphosis, and that brings me joy because that legit means change. And I'm like, okay,
yes, it does
by definition.
But does it?
Yeah, and again, I don't think there's anything wrong with the idea of episodic television, or anything wrong with the idea that little things can like kind of teach lessons and then go back to the status quo. But the momentum of these Star Wars shows just always feels like there's got to be something kind of pushing the general story forward because they've established there is a general narrative. And if you've established that and then you don't fulfill it, then it feels kind of like not as engaging. So, hoping to get back there. But before I watch Bad Batch on Wednesday to figure that out, I got something else to do in the morning. Mando's back, everybody. Mandalorian season 3 is back. Before we talk about our excitement level and recap what happened in Mando and talk about what we're most excited for, Wes, I want to ask you a question. I asked Charles this off air, and I was shocked. Wes, without looking it up, when do you think the last episode of Mandalorian was released? The finale of season 2.
I was so wrong.
The finale of season 2?
Yeah, when did that come out?
Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. I already looked that up. It's December 30th, 2022 or 2020.
All right, great. No, okay, then Charles, what did you say?
I said the beginning of 2022, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Because what is time?
They tricked us with the Book of Boba Fett. So that's what it was.
Yeah.
They tricked us.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess how do you define the last episode of
Yeah, exactly.
Episode 7 of Book of Boba Fett. Yeah. So that to put us in perspective, it has been over 2 years since the last episode of The Mandalorian. Over 2 years.
Yes.
Since we saw Luke Skywalker show up and take Grogu away. So, all these things happen in season 2. But as we do in roundtables sometimes, I want to gauge our excitement before our talk and then re-examine when we're done here. Charles, I want to hit you first. Where is your excitement level as of this Monday night for Mando season 3? Are you like setting your alarm for Wednesday morning? Are you like, oh yeah, I'm excited for it? Or are you like, I don't know, this kind of has to now prove itself again? Like, where are you on the thermometer heat rating?
It's high. It's very high for me.
Yes!
Now, admittedly, this time last week, I was like, wait, it's next week? Like, I was that level. It's not like I've been, I've not been crossing days off the calendar. Like, yeah, today's the day. But as of right now, I think I'm taking my stuff. I'm sleeping in the guest room so I don't wake up Nicole. I'm waking up an hour early. I'm watching it before work. I'm excited. I'd put it at a 9, and I'm only putting it at a 9 because we have taught ourselves to manage our expectations on this show. But I'm very excited. When I watched that sizzle reel earlier from season 2, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's great. So I'm pumped.
That's awesome. Also, it's a very comfy bed in that guest room. I've slept in that bed, so you have a great night. Wes, Charles put us at a 9. He started us off very high. How you feeling about Mando season 3? You ready to jump back in?
Oh yeah, very excited. I want to see, each season that we've had, and it looks like almost each episode that we had, they've made like production upgrades, like with everything that we've seen. There's been like a vast difference from Mando season 1 to the end at season 2, December 30th, 2020. Mm-hmm. Still nuts to even think about. Over 2 years, it really seems only like a year. But I'm excited to watch it with somebody who hasn't seen it, all the Star Wars before, but they're like they're really interested, and I appreciate that we can both watch it together. And then just to see like where they go from here. Do they start? I mean, they can't like start from when Luke Skywalker took Grogu, or they could, and then use that as a as a foreshadowing event, or they can look in the past and see what they had done to make Grogu even think about going back with Mando, but they did that already with Book of Boba Fett. So I'm not sure if they go that deep into it. I mean, it's like Mando's season 2.5 was just, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I'm excited to see what kind of new characters come about. And then like if we go back to Mandalore and they just explore that whole thing, there's a lot of things that, they can bring up that will excite Star Wars fans that were into the comics and in the cartoons and stuff. So ready. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's say that. I'm ready.
You mentioned that, and it made me think, you know how in like old Marvel comics and stuff, they would have an event happen and they'd have a little asterisk, and in the bottom of the panel it would say, see Fantastic Four, issue 87, or something like that. What if Disney Plus was like, Grogu, and then the whole thing paused, and it did a pop out and it said, watch the Book of Boba Fett now on Disney Plus, and then you could like click on it actually and just go watch the entire Book of Boba Fett.
What percent of people you think are going into Mando season 3 having not watched Book of Boba Fett?
I think 40%.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet
Ooh.
there's a healthy portion because
Healthy portion.
it is that one show, because it was the first one that's been like that mainstream thing that
Yeah.
you can just watch the movies or just watch some of the movies and then go watch The Mandalorian and still enjoy yourself. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to work it in somehow to catch those people up.
Yeah, my dad watched The Mandalorian. He does not like Star Wars. He watched Mando and texted me about it, and I would bet my mortgage that he has not heard of the Book of Boba Fett. Okay, like, so I think there's definitely something to do. That being said, the clip they did release with Mando talking to Grief Karga a couple weeks ago, he's like, "Oh, the little one." He's like, "Yeah, he made a choice." Like, I think there's gonna be something like that where it's like a little too exposition-y, but then they'll go past it. I will say my personal heat rating is probably like we're like a 7 or an 8 right now. But I will say why. And I think it's absolutely going to be at a 9 or 10 by the time we're done. Because the only thing that has ever dampened my love for The Mandalorian has been my dumb like over immersion into discourse world where I like just happen to be online too much because I am, and like there's too much like Grogu's an adorable Macy's balloon and Grogu's a Funko 8 million times, and isn't he a little baby? And I'm like, and it's not about the show.
Stop it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Nothing's about that. And then every time I watch a piece of footage from Mando, or like think about it, I'm like, this show rocks. Like this show is awesome.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing, is like just it's been so long since Mando that I spent all these years without actually the new content. So I got to get back in the zone of really absorbing what the show is. Book of Boba Fett, as we talked about back on our bounty hunt shows in the day, like felt kind of flat at certain points, but its highs were very high. The Mando episodes were great. And I think we're getting back to that. And I think as we kind of recap really beat by beat what happened and talk about what we've seen so far, I'm also going to be very excited to sleep in Charles's guest room and watch The Mandalorian on Wednesday morning. So let's go back in time now. Let's go back to season 2. Now I'm just going to hit some bullet points on things that happened. And then I want us to go around and just talk about some of our favorite parts about it. Let's just get back in the lore and love of Mandalorian. So back in 2020, remember that?
Nope.
Not a great year.
Not the best.
But all of this happened in Mando season 2. The introduction of Cobb Vanth. The introduction of Boba Fett. The introduction of Bo-Katan. The introduction of Ahsoka. Mando had the Darksaber. We got the Naboo N1 Starfighter. The introduction of Luke Skywalker. And then Grogu left. Basics. All of that happened in this one season of television. So let's bask in that for a little bit. What are some of the moments that, as you were thinking back, you remember, oh my God, this was the best. I can't wait to see what they bring out of it in season 2 or season 3.
I want to not go in order because I want to say Cobb Vanth because y'all know I love Cobb Vanth.
You do?
But I'm going to say one of my favorite moments of the whole thing was the like 80s montage of finishing off that N1 and then him taking it out for his test drive and all of that stuff. Like that ship is sleek, man. That ship is sexy. I mean, I want to see more of it. There was a lot of it in the trailer shots already. Mm-hmm. Of course, we're going to see some more. But man, that thing is just cool.
Yeah, one of my favorite Lego builds and one of the best moments of celebration that Mando experienced, just seeing that thing in all its glory.
It makes up for Pelly. Oh. Sorry, I'm not a huge fan of the mechanic.
Charles, we're in sync because I was gonna be like, not a huge fan of what surrounds it.
Yeah.
And like that's the one thing in the trailer where she's like, "May the Force be with you." Yeah. Like, I don't need that.
Thanks, Mom.
I don't need it.
She'd have thrown a thumbs up. That'd be even better. She's like,
you're like, yeah. I just need gas. I just need gas. I'm sorry. Don't bother me. But yeah, I agree. That ship, like the N1 itself, one of the best ships of all time.
especially
One of the
for
greatest.
us prequel babies.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
Come on.
We love it.
Just bring it in there because it could mean absolutely
call.
nothing to vast majority of the audience, and it can mean everything to to the nerds like us.
It's just it's just a cool ship to other people. It's just rad.
Yeah.
Like it's just a really neat ship. So N1, great. Obviously, we're gonna see that a ton, like you said. We've seen it in the trailers. We've seen a lot more ship combat in the trailers for season 3, which I'm stoked about. I mean, we're still hoping, praying, dead or nigh that Rogue Squadron movie for that reason. I mean, the Star Wars ship stuff has been so good since the Disney merger. That's been one thing across the board. Like the Starfighter sequences and everything like that has been so fun. So I hope we get to see that thing just fly and do all its great stuff. That would be awesome. Wes, what about you? What about this stuff are you really hoping we see come to fruition in the next season?
Well, the introduction of the Mandalorians, first and foremost, were like the Mandalorians from Clone Wars season 1, so like Bo-Katan, Clan Kryz. So just actually having another set of Mandalorians that take off their helmet, and he's like, you're not a Mandalorian. He's like, no, actually, you're not a Mandalorian. And so
I was there when it was written.
Yeah,
Right?
like just the two different belief systems, and which are over like a big Mandalorian umbrella, but two different belief systems. It's kind of, I want to know more about that through this, through like cinema and TV rather than books and comics and Wikipedia and stuff like that. Yeah. So this will help people understand who the Mandalorians are and then get them into reading because you can definitely get more information out of a book than you can for a show because you have more in a book. But also, I want to know more about. I want to see more Bill Burr. I want Bill Burr to come back. Yeah.
So
you got the little guy. Yeah. What are you doing? He's a kid. You're a freaking Mandalorian.
Get that gun out of my face, Mando! It's so good. He was so good. So yeah.
No, we've not seen him.
Why do you got a big black sword comes out of the handle? What are you doing? He's a kid. This isn't safe.
You guys suck.
Sucks. All these Mandalorians are terrible. All right, sorry, this is the rest of the show now. I'm sorry.
No, please, God, no. No, we have not seen him in any trailer stuff, have we? I don't remember seeing him.
I don't think so.
He's not confirmed, at least. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll cameo. That'd be great.
So the last time we saw him, they let him loose after they went to that Imperial base and they scanned Din Djarin's face first time. So
wonderful episode.
Yeah. So they let
Pedro
him loose.
Pascal had to be on set that day, actually.
Yes.
So I love in our Slack recently working on these recaps. One of our crew members asks, "Hey, what's Bill Burr in space? What's his name?" And I'm like, "No, that's it. Bill Burr in space. That's the character."
They should have gave us some kind of similar name to Bill Burr instead of Miggs Mayfield, but still.
We gotta go to Mandalore, but I gotta get Duncan on the way. That's absolutely who he is. That would be great. I'm gonna be a little chalky easy here. And say Bo-Katan and the Darksaber stuff. I think Katie Sackhoff, I mean, we see her. We've seen an HD still and seen it in trailers of her sitting on that throne of Mandalore. Like, she's there. And anyone that's a huge fan of the Clone Wars has known kind of the story of her family and things like that. She definitely believes she's the rightful wielder of the Darksaber, but she don't got it. So
you have to win it.
Yeah,
exactly, and it's very much predominant in promo posters and stuff now too. Like Mando's got that saber, like the Darksaber is his weapon, like that is a very clear thing. So I'm excited to see the two of them hopefully kind of unite a little bit. I wonder if she's gonna kind of bring him more into the fold of Mandalorian lore and like what the Darksaber could mean, and I want to see him rise to that level. And with all of this, what I'm most excited for, based on what we've seen, I think we've kind of gotten through the I need to only protect Grogu part of the story. Because season 1 was, what is this baby, right? I got to figure it out. Season 2 was, I got to take him to the Jedi. We did that. And then in season 2.5, which we'll hit here in a moment, like, they're reunited, he made a choice. So that storyline is complete, and now we have resolution. He is with Mando now as a Mandalorian who can also use the Force. Moving on. So I hope that can just kind of be an accepted part of the show now. We're like, oh, it's me and Grogu. Great. But that's not the episode.
Right.
The episode is what's going on around them. And there's kind of a unit.
And there's got to be some major growth, too, for Grogu. Because...
Some growth.
Some growth. Some growth.
Neither one's good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all sounds gross. Let's never do that again. But we saw him grow a lot of different ways. Of course, we've seen him use the Force. We saw him actually get out of his little floating bassinet, and he was hopping on the stones and all that kind of stuff, and he was showing his agility and all of that. So, I mean, to me, that's the big danger in a character like this. And I know we've talked about this on the show. Is like, how do you make this guy who's actually like 55 or something? I don't remember how old he is. How do you make him grow meaningfully over the span of a season? So there's got to be some. Is he going to start talking? I don't know. But something's got to happen.
Speaking of him moving up the step, he moves like a South Park character, right? So it's just like boxy.
Oh my God, he absolutely does. That's exactly it.
But they can't do much with that because they have to cover the body. So I'd like to point that out.
I want to ask you guys now about season 2.5, aka the Book of Boba Fett. The Grogu Mando reunion happened in here. We got the whole episode with Luke and Ahsoka. One of the great moments. Luke coming back. You will not hear us saying they shouldn't have brought Luke in. That was incredible. I screamed like I was 8, and him meeting Ahsoka I think is beautiful. It's poetic. But we had the whole decision that Grogu made with the chainmail versus the saber and all that stuff. And then we got him back with Mando on Tatooine, fighting alongside him and Boba Fett in the final battle. It was a lot of fun. Realistically, just as a story, what do you guys think about them doing that in the show, in Book of Boba Fett? Like, do we think that was a miss that they're going to have to rectify? Do you think it doesn't really matter? Like, practically, what's that going to do for season 3? By kind of having required reading for the first time in any of these shows.
That's true.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, again, I think they're going to have to address it in this show because not everyone is going to be willing to go and watch the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. As Jon Favreau said, go on YouTube, watch recaps. I'm like, John, come on, man.
I mean,
come on, buddy.
Do that. You technically don't have to watch the whole show to get what you need. You can watch like 2 episodes essentially, but
easily.
I don't know. I mean, obviously they use the Mandalorian as a springboard. They brought these other characters in. They brought Ahsoka in. They brought Boba Fett in. And then they are using that introduction to launch their own series. But they really don't have to continue to mingle and cross over. And that's something I actually found very interesting when I was watching the sizzle is there was actually a lot of Ahsoka. And I was like, man, does that mean they're actually going to pull her in some in season 3? Because we haven't seen her in any of the season 3 trailers that I remember, but they really focus on her a lot in the season 2 recap. So I was asking myself, are they going to do that when we already know we have a full series?
Right.
But to answer your initial question, Eric, I do actually think it was a little bit of a misstep. I think it was a little bit of a, hey, Mandalorian's really popular. Maybe, we can bring that whole crowd over to Book of Boba Fett by doing this. It felt a little bit businessy, if you will. Like it made
great way to describe
sense, but it didn't make a bunch of story sense to me necessarily. Felt a little shoehorned. I still enjoyed it. I think those were some of the best episodes of Book of Boba Fett as a TV show. Here. But yeah, I think they've got to just do it, whether it's through awkward exposition or whether they do a relatively long recap like they did before Kenobi. Remember?
Yeah.
They even pulled stuff from the prequels.
So good.
Yeah, and that was beautifully done. If they do something like that, recapping the first 2 seasons, and they maybe throw in a couple important things from Book of Boba Fett, I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because I think I think there was more story to tell from season 2. So they had to add that in somewhere, or they had already written out the story for season 3 and they needed to add that step in between in Book of Boba Fett. Just those couple of episodes, but there was was there one or two episodes, but we didn't even see Boba Fett, right? It was just
two episodes, yeah,
all Mandalorian.
One we didn't see, and the second one he found at the end, but it was just a Mandalorian episode, absolutely.
Yes, and I feel like they're gonna continue to do that with these other shows. Like the Mandalorian will show up in Ahsoka, and he would just be he'd be a prominent figure in all of these shows that are coming out within this time period, and so like. That will hook everybody into watching it and to get back into the Mandalorian. Like, well, if you need to know something before, if you didn't want to watch the recap and you want to be told what happened in the Book of Boba Fett in season 3, you can watch the Book of Boba Fett itself and you get that information. And you get more information as well because does Boba Fett going to show up in the Mandalorian as well? I mean, this is going to be the giant Marvel universe that we've seen before, right? Everybody's going to be in everything. So I like the crossovers. I do. But I think it's because they're trying to grab a bigger audience, and that's just a marketing business thing. It's not. I don't think it's mainly driven by a story that they're trying to tell through the Book of Boba Fett or Ahsoka or anything like that.
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it. And you know what I think about too is the future watchers of The Mandalorian will be binge watchers, right? I mean, that's the great thing about streaming services is you'll have people that when we're in Mandalorian season 6 or whatever, right? They're going to be like, "Oh my God, I just got Disney Plus. Let me binge The Mandalorian," right? And I'm wondering, are they going to have like Disney, like next episode, are you going to go from the end of season 2 to the beginning of season 3?
You'd have to,
people are gonna be
probably
like,
wouldn't
"Whoa!"
know to watch the post-credit scene that said
wouldn't
Boba
know at
Fett
all.
will return, right?
No, because you're just binging.
Yeah.
So you're like, let me keep season 2, episode 8 goes to season 3, episode 1. And they're going to be like, cool, so here's where Grogu hit. And I really think in the binge model, they're going to have a lot of people wondering, is there an episode that's gone from Disney Plus? Did they delete one where Grogu got? Because in the recap, they're going to be like, this is what happened. You're like, I didn't see that, and I've been binging. So anyway, I'm wondering.
Yeah.
I'm wondering to see what's going to happen there. Again, if you're watching this show, listening to us, this doesn't matter. We've all watched it. We all know what happened, but as a business move, I agree. I think it was a misstep, but we'll see how the general populace reacts and if everyone kind of gets over it. I do wonder if a little bit too much of the first episode, because we only get 8 per season, I think is also something to realize. Like, we're kind of in precious real estate, as it were, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if too much of the first one is going to be dealt with that exposition, but that's all hypothetical until we see the first episode. One thing we do know that got leaked this week is that the first episode is 35 minutes, which is...
Pardon?
35 minutes, first episode.
Which
is pretty short.
Yeah.
That is
What a
short.
swerve from what they've been giving us in the past. Like, what was it? Andor gave us three
So here's the thing.
episodes.
It was, and the problem with... Okay. When Andor came out, everyone's like, you can't want everything to be Andor. But the thing is... A show is perfect. You know?
That's pretty
That's
good.
the
Keep
problem.
in mind, though, what
Yeah.
we've said about Bad Batch, there's the possibility we fall into that mindset here with Mandalorian too,
That's
because
true.
it is much more episodic. Yes, there is that
Right.
larger story, but there have always been the middle of the season is like,
Yep.
let's just go on some adventures and we'll make our way back to the major plot line. And
Clone Wars
that's,
season 7.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
A perfect season, but we still didn't love that middle arc.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's possible, but overall, again, this is all about like you said earlier, Charles, the management of expectations is key, but it doesn't get rid of the hype. So the couple things we've seen in these trailers, because they've been pretty sparse, which I'm glad about. We haven't seen too much. A lot of the trailers repeat footage and things like that, which is good.
We saw
But
the
they've-
N1 flying through rain. I'm sorry, but that looked incredible.
It was he's going to Camino? Is it? Oh, wait.
Not much
No.
to see. Not much.
Just whole episode him just flying around the planet. I don't see anything. There was no. All right, I guess that's it.
All water.
But overall, I feel like we've had a big Mandalorian focus, both like Wes, like you said, with the characters, like that shot with like 4 or 5 Mandos dropping from a ship and flying over.
That's a
Bo-Katan
great
being on
shot.
the throne. It feels like we're getting a huge Mandalorian focus here. And I'm wondering, how much do you think the balance is going to be between like mission of the week, like checking in with Grief Karga? Are we getting bounty pucks? Are we doing like? Are we gonna be doing that stuff, or do you think we're actually just kind of all focusing on the Mandalore plot? Like, what do you think's coming?
Yeah, I think the bounty puck plot line that's got to be finished, right? Not finished.
I think
but,
so. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of they introduced. That's how he was. That's how he has lived his life since the Empire. That's how he makes money and all this other stuff. But he has a new purpose now. So hopefully, I think the bounty puck thing is behind him. But yeah, I think the Mandalore story is so vast. And then you can add so many more characters to that. I mean, you could even add like Maul to that if you'd like. It's like there's a lot they can go into,
Yeah. I mean, on the heels of saying, hey, remember this show is episodic, I do think it will be less episodic than the other seasons because you're right. I mean, we've introduced so much. It's so complicated now. If you're going to keep it the same number of episodes, there's less time to accomplish those things. So, I think ultimately what we're going to see is, Mando has to go get atonement. He's going to learn what does it actually mean to be a Mandalorian, not what he was taught necessarily in his childhood by his particular sect. And then Grogu will grow by seeing what it means to be a Mandalorian.
Yeah. And I think there's something too in what they've taught us over the years is that what we see in the trailers by the first couple episodes, we basically run out. Right? Especially with Mandalorian. And in the trailer, we see he says, I need to go to Mandalore and atone at the waterfall or whatever. Like, he has the conversation. That's not the season finale. Of him like, oh, look, it's Mandalore in episode 7. Because like every single person watching knows that Mandalore is out there. So I think there's a lot of fun to be had. Again, like you said, the prominence of the Mandalorians, prominence of Bo-Katan being in the trailers, like this doesn't feel like cameo level stuff. And I think that the increased budget of it, the time we've had, like look how many Mandalorians there are in this shot. Like there's so many different people about them. I also like the female Mandalorian helmets because they look a little like birds. Like they're like scary owls. That would absolutely kill you. And this guy with the orange helmet, like lots of color. Why not?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of cool possibilities to meet a lot of different Mandalorian characters and have that be a huge focus of the episode. Because we've had the loner, right? In season 1, we've had the guy with a couple of allies, and now he seems like he has an army. And Wes, you always surprise me here. Yeah, here's Bo-Katan on the throne of Mandalore, just having a think.
Yeah, she doesn't seem confident in her position at the moment. She seems like like, where the hell is my damn sword and why don't I have it kind of thing. That's what I would be feeling.
Yes. Yeah. It's just so exciting to think about what they can do with it here, and the fact there's been so much time since the last season is interesting. And I'm really interested to see kind of what happens to the community. Because when Mando came out, there was Mando.
Right.
That was it. That was the thing. And this past year, we've gotten Kenobi, we've gotten Andor, both of which we have absolutely loved. And Mando's not the only thing, but I think it is still the phenomenon. So I want to know how people attack back into it. I want to kind of feel what is it like for us to go back. You remember when Mando first came out and everyone was like, everyone loves it. Yeah. It's a uniting thing. Oh my God. Everyone shut up for a week, I mean, do you think Mando's going to do that again?
I think so. I mean, my friends that I play softball with, they're just like, hey, man, if you're going to watch The Mandalorian, did you watch the Book of Boba Fett, stuff like that? So that normally they wouldn't talk about Star Wars in a regular general sense, are talking about Star Wars. And then people are like, what are you doing talking about Star Wars? It's like, yeah, and you're not stupid? Like, it's like everybody's watching. It's
cool
great. Now. So, I mean, it's a great talking point with a lot of people now. So I think it's going to bring about a lot of conversation. It's going to bring a lot of people like, oh, that's back on. And then you get a lot more viewership, then you got more viewers and you got more fans. And it's just, it brings everybody together. Really. It's a community thing is what I think.
Yeah.
Whenever you see, when everybody actually gets into a thing, much like when like Stranger Things and like just these big streaming seasons, there's just something for everybody to get behind.
Yeah. You want to know why I think it's going to be that again? I've told y'all that on Monday nights now in my house downstairs while I'm doing this podcast, it's bachelor watch party happening, right?
That's right.
And I usually catch the end of it. And in the past couple of weeks, when I go to catch the end of it, what do I see on commercial breaks? I see actual commercials for The Mandalorian. I don't remember seeing as many things. I don't watch a ton of cable stuff. I'll like record stuff and whatnot and watch it back, and I'll skip through commercials. But I'm seeing more promotion for this than I remember seeing for a lot of the other shows. And I think it's because they know, hey, this was the big ticket item right here. So I think it's going to pull a lot of those fans back in that maybe have missed the last couple.
The worldwide phenomenon, The Mandalorian, returns streaming only on Disney+.
Yeah, something exactly like that.
That's it.
They send out the mailers, like this, the big cardboard mailers in your mailbox. Put way too much money.
The Mandalorian? Also, do you want to sell your house? That's right. I bought this house 2 months ago, and they've already said, "Do you want to sell it?"
Yeah. But I just going through these trailers, and I remember seeing like this with the four Jedi.
Yeah, the four Jedi. What? What? I forgot about this.
Protecting Grogu, dude. It's gotta be.
Yeah,
it's gotta be. It's absolutely a flashback.
I would think so because it looks like they're in the Jedi Temple, right? I mean, that's what it looks like.
That's prequel era. This is Order 66.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and God, there's just
every once in a while, just seeing Jedi in a post Jedi era show is super cool to see, because then it gives you they're giving you background and stuff you've never seen before, but what happened to them. So you're just like, oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I love Jedi.
Yo, I'm managing my expectations, but what if there was a whole episode that was flashback to Grogu in the temple?
I'm into it.
Oh, give it to me.
Because you know what? Remember when we had Hayden and Ewan dueling each other in that flashback in Obi-Wan, and we were all like, I guess this is life. It doesn't get better than this. We made it. Like, they could do it. And I would love to see an entire episode inside the temple of people talking to young little Grogu. And like, what if we see Yoda do it? I mean, we're almost in Star Wars theory territory here at this point. But yeah, I think that's the cool thing about Mando. At the end of the day, anything is possible. You know, when I'm watching Andor, aka my favorite show of all time, I know there's certain things I'm not gonna see, and that's great. There's very strict parameters. I'm not seeing laser swords. I'm not seeing like Mace Windu jumping in, being like Cassian Andor. Come on, sorry, Charles.
Not yet, anyway.
Maybe not in that show, but in a show.
Let's be clear, Mace is alive. Skeleton Crew is where we're gonna see Mace Windu. But I think Mando is cool because it has kind of established anything's possible. It's the most sandboxy of the sandboxes. And week to week, we'll just kind of find out what happens, you know, whether it's a 35-minute episode, whether it's 45 minutes, whether it's an action-packed, whether it's quiet. Overall, it's just really fun to be a Star Wars fan when The Mandalorian is on. You know, we can have episodes out the wazoo. We can have critiques, blah, blah. At the end of the day, I think that's the universal truth, is that it's just great when on Wednesdays you get The Mandalorian. And it's been 2 years.
I think that's like, I mean, obviously that is the goal. Disney is giving us like, remember like TGIF, like Friday evening TV. You sit down with your family and you watch you would sit, like everybody would sit down at television and watch that. So like Wednesdays come out, like what is everybody doing on Wednesdays? Everybody is watching The Mandalorian. And they picked this. I don't remember anything really coming out on a Wednesday other than like AEW Dynamite, but not a lot of people watch that. What's up, Adam?
Wes, I remember voting for Kelly Clarkson on the first American Idol. All right, you want to talk about everyone watching the same thing?
Wednesdays are big.
You kids don't know.
So they're taking over. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're gonna take over a day of the week for you to watch Disney Plus, watch The Mandalorian. You're gonna watch 35 minutes for the first episode, I guess, but I mean, I assume it's going to be around 45 to an hour for the other ones. And then after that, what do? You watch more Disney Plus, because it's not all night long. I mean, you have some time before you go to bed, maybe. But they're taking over Wednesdays. So business, you know.
Why not? And I think that's the fun thing, because and there will still be Bad Batch. Like, that's the crazy thing. There are going to be 2 shows. I'm wondering. Again, I'm not in Disney's circle or whatever. Like, I wonder how the semi not conflicting, but like competing, I guess, shows will work because some folks are just gonna watch Mando and stop watching Bad Batch, but whatever, that's business. For the story, I think it's exciting to see what's this apostate got to atone for. What do we bring into the fold here? And I guarantee you, I'm gonna wake up really early Wednesday morning, and the second I hear that theme and see him come back out, it's gonna feel like 2019 again.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Just those two notes, man. Just the first two little xylophone notes or whatever it is, which is like dun, dun. Oh man, I can feel it. I can feel it.
And does Grogu get a little helmet in this? Do they make him a little helmet? Is that what this is?
I don't think they're gonna give him a helmet.
What is this then?
He relies so much on emoting.
Maybe they give him a helmet just so it can be a skin in Fortnite when they do the Grogu pack.
No.
Maybe they're gonna make him, I don't know, a little chest plate to match Mando. Well, I guess he's got his chainmail.
Yeah, he's got the chainmail now.
He's wearing a bathrobe, so we gotta do something. This kid's gonna see firefights, you know? There's a level of professional responsibility that we need. But yeah, I'm excited to see it, and I think that there's gonna be something really nice about it too. That's similar to another show going on right now, The Last of Us, the other Pedro Pascal show. That's
right.
He's
formula
making so much money. But one of the things that I've kind of enjoyed about The Last of Us a bit, at least in my circles of friends, it's not really a hot take show. Everyone just kind of watches it and like, that's a great show. And you kind of move on. I'm wondering if Mando is just going to be like that. It's not going to be. But for some of us, it'll just be that show where you watch it and you're like, God, yeah. Mandalorian. Great Wednesday. Moving on. You know?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of that simple.
Yeah.
And
I think it's hard for us too, because we know we're going to be like analyzing this and talking about the episodes for an hour on the podcast, and we're talking behind the scenes too. And so sometimes it's hard and you get kind of sucked into that like critiquing mindset. But I think if any of the shows outside of Obi-Wan are going to do it for me, just to sit there and just be a Star Wars fan and enjoy it, I think it's going to be Mando.
Yeah. They've kept I think they kept some of the community quiet on, hey, when's our next Star Wars movie? It's, hey, when's Mando coming out?
Exactly.
So, yeah. So they're giving us a little shot of Star Wars every 2 years. Like, still thinking about it. Like, it's over 2 years ago that this.
It's so long.
Like in each season, you'd think a season is like you take off 6 months max.
Yeah,
but
for network.
They quadrupled that, and we don't care.
That being said, Wes, if the rumors are true and we get Star Wars film news at Celebration this year, all that goes out the window because I want my goddamn Star Wars movie.
True,
okay,
yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
This is great, but let's be clear. Let's be clear. Sorry, Stephen A. Smith, Star Wars. Let me be clear. I want a Star Wars movie. All right. Anyway, too many impersonations this episode. Overall, I want to say, guys, this episode for me has done exactly what it needed to do. I am at a 10 of excitement now for Mandalorian. I can't wait. I'm going to get up on Wednesday. I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to put on my wireless headphones and just watch and sit and be back in the world. And I freaking love these characters, man. I think that every once in a while we take for granted what Mando did for all of us. Like, it changed Star Wars forever, and it's just going to keep going. And gosh, people that are irritated for whatever reason about the Filoni versus the Mando for whatever, like, what a great thing to be able to argue about.
Right.
That we're getting all these interconnected stars. Oh, I had to watch this other Star Wars television property to understand a Star Wars television property because there's too many, and I can't handle them all. Like, it's just such a great time. And not everything's going to be for everyone, but Mando does seem to be.
Poor kids in the 70s and 80s that just had to wait, we
love you guys.
5-6 years for the next movie to come out. Like all you had was comic strips, and you had toys, 3.5 inch figures or 3.5 inch figures.
Yep.
I mean, so We're lucky. We're lucky to where
Oh,
we
yeah.
can be at. So it's not. I wouldn't be complaining about anything really.
No. I think about my Trader Joe's cashier I saw this week, and she was awesome. And she was like, I was 17. She saw I was wearing a Star Wars coat with patches and stuff. And she was like, oh, is that a Star Wars coat? And my walls went up immediately. And I'm like, yep. Please
Now
don't
what?
say anything else.
Now what?
And then she said, oh, I was 17 when the first one came out. And then she went and saw Empire Strikes Back 13 times
Heck yeah.
in the theaters. And she's like, I gasped every time Luke's hand got cut off. And she had this moment. I'm like, and now you get to just have it all the time.
Yeah.
This thing that you bought a movie ticket for 65 cents or whatever the hell it was 13 times. And now, I don't know money. And now you get to watch The Mandalorian. Yeah, you're looking at how much the movie ticket was in 1983. But now she gets to watch it, and so do all of us, and it's just going to be such a blast to have it back. Wes, what do you find out? How much is the movie ticket in 1983?
It was $2. It was $2.50. 65 cents is pretty. That's pretty low.
She
I don't know.
paid then for 13 showings of Empire Strikes Back. She paid roughly like the price of a Dolby ticket.
Yeah.
Right nowadays.
This is so thinking like, when did movies cost 25 cents? That was 1938. So it was
Bit off.
it's
So
a
close.
bit off, but yeah, 250. I
I
mean,
saw Babylon.
no.
I get it. All right. Gosh. Now I'm just impatient. That's the thing. We have a whole Tuesday before this happens.
I know. And
fellas-
last minute
hit it.
reminder: mute stuff, block stuff. If you're not
Great
watching
point.
it first thing in the morning, guys, you're gonna get spoiled. I've had it happen to me. It is not worth it.
Yep.
Stay
Yeah.
off the socials if you're scared about it, because you can't put spoiler tags on pictures on a lot of stuff. Just do yourself a favor and stay away from it.
Yeah, like you cannot mute on Twitter every single character name, or people again will just post pictures with reactions, and that's their thing. Like mute the notifications, take a break. Honestly, also if you have a morning without Twitter, just see how you feel. Was that nice? Did that feel good?
Yeah.
I'm saying this to myself. Wasn't that better? But yeah, we have Slack channels and Discord channels, of course. Oh my gosh. If you're not in our UTD Discord, jump in the Discord. The Mando channel is popping when new episodes come out, so mute that for sure. But then jump in, have a great time. All right, fellas, let's boil it down. Most excited thing for Wednesday specifically. What do you think we're gonna get in this episode that you're most stoked for?
In this episode,
This episode, we'll make it. We had a lot of content to put out over the next couple months about this show, so just this episode, what are we stoked about?
I mean, I think I just want to see the N1 in flight again, and I think we're going to get that right out of the gate. So
There's been
a great
a lot of trailer volume of just the N1 Starfighter going here, going there, going through
Yeah.
asteroids.
A lot of
Charles, that's like plus 250.
yeah, well, I was gonna say Grogu kicking that Yeti's ass, but that's probably not happening in
What
this
a
one.
weird, freaky looking creature.
Yeah,
Honestly.
the way he
I
jumps
don't care
in.
for it.
I think.
Not.
Oh man, I think we get Mando reuniting, if you want to call it that, with Grief Karga, and then that's kind of where he gives the information on what's been going on with the galaxy, maybe with Mandalore, maybe with other stuff like with the guild. But I think he reunites with Grief Karga in the beginning episode, and that's kind of what springboards everything else.
I like that. I'll take the off the wall prediction. I think we get Appa. I think we get Captain Carson Teva. I'd love to see him again. Because I think we saw him in the trailer. He's around.
Yeah.
So I'd love him to be one of the people Mando's checking in on. And he's like, what are you up to? What happened to Cara Dune? Oh, she got fired. I'm in charge. Oh, cool. Anyway, like, I don't know. Something like that would be cool to see him. Yeah, I think just overall, though, I'm going to be very basic, too. I hope it's shot well and the dialogue is good.
Yeah.
You know, just even like
A good
I think
base.
that-
A good
yeah,
base.
solid quality. I think Andor showed me this and showed all of us, like, you can tell whatever story you want, and if it's shot impeccably and the dialogue is good and the acting is well done, just the craft of the episode is good, I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'm not going to be thinking about your overall plot schematics if I'm enraptured by the performances that are being given and the things that the camera is capturing. You know, there's a level of spectacle to Star Wars that is wonderful. Because at the end of the day, it's good guys got to be bad guys.
Yeah.
And that's great. But do it well. Make it exciting. I'm not thinking about that.
Well, and one point to think back on is I hope it doesn't feel like we jump back into the volume. After we saw what they did with Andor, I just hope that, I don't know, they learned from some of the other experiences. I could definitely feel we were in the volume in Book of Boba Fett. I actually never really felt that way all that much in Mando, but I didn't have much to compare it to at the time. Now we do. So I really hope that it doesn't feel like we're jumping back in there.
Yeah. It's kind of like when I saw Black Panther Wakanda Forever after seeing a preview for Avatar The Way of Water in front of it, and they had underwater sequences, and I'm like, oh. Okay. Well, this could look better. But yeah, no, I'm hoping that it looks like the Star Wars world. Absolutely right. And we know budget, blah, blah, blah. But again, this is the biggest show on Disney Plus. So let's hope. As always, we will be, I guess, I don't know how our coverage is going to work for this. It's kind of a fun new adventure for us. We'll see how many episodes require their full living forces, of course. We'll try to keep you guys posted on Bad Batch, but we're just kind of feeling it. We're going to feel what we want. If you guys want more Mando-specific episode content, let us know. We're happy to do it. But overall, I'm excited for our boy to be back. And we'll see that next week. A quick reminder before the outro stuff here. Keep an eye on Utini socials. Discord, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. The March Madness book bracket is starting Friday, March 3rd. And if you're watching us live tonight, make sure you're over at Patreon for the play-in so you can find out if Inferno Squad or Starfighters of Adamar are going to be the last entry. Go vote for Inferno Squad. Anyway, I'm excited to see that and vote for your favorites this upcoming week. And of course, go to our social channels, tell us what you love most about The Mandalorian and everything else Star Wars. But on that note, my friends, that'll do it for this week's episode of The Living Force. If you support us on Patreon, thank you so much for everything you do for us. I hope you're enjoying everything we got for you. A special thanks to Brian Dooley, Earl Q, Robert Thomas, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and James T, Elizabeth Cloutier, Ashley Ingalls, Chris Carrizo, and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Eric Eilerson, Charles Zetzi Henkel, and Wes is at Boss Wes. A special thank you to Matt Davenport, our amazing editor, Ryan, our graphic designer extraordinaire, and Wes, our producer and community manager. Thank you to Charles and Wes for partnering with me tonight. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. And as always, may the Force be with you.